Hello everybody, my name is Ramel Pravia. I am a mortgage agent with Unimore Capital. I'd like to say that I am your go-to mortgage agent. Okay, I've got over 3 years experience in helping real estate investors with their financing. So today I'm going to talk about whether it makes sense to refinance your real estate portfolio. Right? I did forget to mention that I also have completed some flips, and so I can share some of that knowledge, and I can understand and relate to real estate investors, what they're doing, what projects they're working on. I understand the different strategies that come with real estate investing, and that's really important when it comes to working with a mortgage agent, because you want somebody who has been there, who understands your challenges and understands the different strategies and how you're going to make money with all those different strategies. That said, I want to talk about, does it make sense to refinance your real estate portfolio? Okay. Now, refinancing your portfolio makes sense when you reduce the interest rate on your mortgages, your monthly payments also go down, right? Or you refinance with the purpose of taking out some equity out of your investments so that you can use that equity to invest furthermore into more real estate properties. Okay. Now, one option is to negotiate better terms with your lenders. So again, you want to lower your interest, you want to better the terms. So whether that's, your monthly payments are going to be lower, or the terms themselves, the fees are going to be lower. They can change, from a fixed mortgage or a variable mortgage to a fixed. You can also extend the term or amortization of your mortgage. And then finally, you can also change some of the fees that are related to the mortgage or mortgages that you refinance. And so you can negotiate better terms with the new lender. Okay? So lower monthly payments are really important in a refinance if your objective is to lower your payments or lower your interest. The second reason why you would want to refinance is you would have improved cash flow. So again, you're lowering your monthly payments, which means that you have more money in your pocket and you're able to use that money for renovations on your next project, or simply, to keep in a savings account, a checking account, until you decide to invest in the next property. Okay? You also will have increased equity. So with lower monthly payments, your equity goes up. Okay? Which, allows you as a real estate investor to increase your overall equity in your properties. Right? Now, basically the third reason why you would want to refinance your mortgage or mortgages or portfolio is to diversify. Okay, so by diversifying, you're swapping old properties with new ones. Okay, so a refinance can take your existing mortgage and apply it to a new property. That is what we call a switch or a transfer. Okay? And then lastly, it makes sense for you to refinance because it provides risk management. It lowers the financial risks, again, by reducing the interest rate, the volatility, or you locking in fixed rates. In this current environment, it's really important that if you're holding a variable rate, that you consider changing into a fixed rate. I've talked about this before, but I'll repeat it again. So the Federal Reserve in the US has continued to increase rates, usually by a quarter point. They began with increasing the rates by 50 basis points, and they are now at about 5.25, if I can remember correctly. So the interest rate that the Federal Reserve borrows money and lends out money is at 5.25. And what happens is that financial institutions follow suit, okay? Because it essentially means that if the interest rate or the cost of borrowing money is increased by the Federal Reserve by or in effect, it increases the mortgage rates with the financial institutions. They have to, because if they don't, then they fall behind and their costs, become higher than obviously before. Okay. Also, the Bank of Canada usually follows suit from the changes that the Federal Reserves make. Okay. Again, our two economies are entwined, or they're connected, and so the Bank of Canada, in keeping inflation, just like the Federal Reserve, keeping inflation down, or basically reaching their goal or target, which is bringing down inflation to about 2%. Inflation rate right now is at about 2.5% in the US and 2.3% in Canada. Okay, so because the Bank of Canada increases the rates too, and again, with Canada, we're at about 5% and change with regards to the overnight rate, the rate at which the Bank of Canada lends out money and borrows money. And the same goes with the financial institutions. When they increase the interest rates after the Bank of Canada increases them, the rate at which financial institutions lend money to each other, right, and borrow, or basically lend money to each other, which is called the overnight rate. The financial institutions, the five big banks in Canada, follow suit. Okay, so again, just to go back to my recommendation, if you're holding a variable mortgage, you have seen your monthly payments go up, you have seen the interest rate on your mortgages go up. So I highly recommend that you consider looking at changing the variable rate to a fixed rate. Okay, because that will allow you to fix the rate, where the rate will not change for the term of the mortgage. Okay, obviously, if the fixed mortgage rate is lower than the variable rate, you will want to do that. Depending on your current term on your variable rate, it may sense if after the penalties to get out of the variable rate, and basically changing your variable rate to a fixed rate is lower than you fixing your mortgage rate, okay, over the new term of the mortgage. So if your new mortgage or fixed mortgage is lower than the variable lower than the variable mortgage, then again, and let's say the term is 1 to 2 years, you would have saved money in those 1 to 2 years as long as the fixed rate is lower than your variable rate. Okay, and after the penalty to get out of the variable rate into a fixed. If you decide to change your amortization, or change the term of renewal to 4 or 5 years, so you're change your variable rate to a fixed rate for a term of 4 or 5 years, okay? And if, again, your fixed rate is lower than your variable rate, you will likely be at an advantage and lower the interest rate, lower the monthly payment, and it'll allow you to save thousands of dollars, right? Obviously, depending on the size of the mortgage, you'll save more in some of your mortgages than others, okay? My recommendation, I'll leave you with this, is for you to consider going from a variable rate mortgage to a fixed rate mortgage. However, I would change into a 1 to 2 year fixed rate. Analysts have been predicting that the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve will continue to increase rates up until mid 2024. Okay, if you remember when the downturn of the real estate market took place in 2021, right, towards the end of 2021, that interest rates were at an all-time high and inflation was at about 2%, right? And since then, in the Bank of Canada, the Federal Reserve have increased rates quite a bit, and the financial institutions have also increased rates. Inflation went off the roof, right, since that downturn. And I believe it was around 6% in most markets, or on average about 6%, that inflation went up, right, as the market went down. So now we're at a point where inflation is about 2.3 in Canada, and about 2.5 or so in the US, which means that those analysts that were predicting that the inflation would be kept intact by mid 2024, or that the Bank of Canada Federal Reserve would have reached their target of 2%, have been correct so far, right? And so the reason why I recommend going into a 1 year or a 2 year fixed rate from a variable rate is that most likely the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve will reach their goal by mid 2024, which means that rates will not change from that point on. And if anything, they may actually decrease. So a 1 year term allows you to basically, change into another fixed rate or a variable rate at that point, moving forward after that. Okay, or even a 2 year, because nobody has that crystal ball, so we don't know. But most analysts have been correct to this point, or the good analysts, and they've predicted that the Bank of Canada Federal Reserve will not continue to increase rates after mid 2024. Now, you could also go into an open 1 year or 2 year mortgage, right? Which means there would be no penalties for you to get out. Now, the open mortgage, right, is a lot more expensive than if you fix it, for 1 year, 2 year, because what you're basically saying is, well, listen, bank or financial institution, I want to make sure that if interest rates go down, that I get out of my existing fixed rate at any time because it's open, and go into a lower fixed rate. Okay, but the open rate mortgage is going to be a little bit more, or a lot more expensive, depending on the interest rates for open mortgages that the banks or financial institutions charge, right, and any other fees. Okay, so I hope that you're able to learn more about refinancing your portfolio, or refinancing your mortgage on real estate properties. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at 519-398-1738, or you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Romel Pravia. Thank you so much for listening and watching my video. Feel free to share to your groups or to your friends and family. Have yourself a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.